competitors, 12 of them. The weather's now down under 90 degrees. 55% humidity, so not ideal conditions running a steeplechase to be sure, but they do have the water jump 7 times. And a very, very slow pace early on.
We did see the qualifying rounds be very tactical, so a lot of these guys have a lot left in their legs. However, it is still a tall task to run 2 steeplechase races over the course of 3 days as we see that field shaping up. We talked about Duncan Hamilton, and he led last year all but the last 50 meters of that race, and he has come in highly motivated to this season and has looked nearly unbeatable. This Montana State program boasts high caliber steeple athletes. Head coach Lyle Weiss was really excited to see how Duncan Hamilton ran at the regional, because at that regional meet just prior to getting here to Austin, Duncan Hamilton really hadn't had great fast racing conditions very often this season, and Duncan Hamilton really felt like he was probably in that point of the season right around 8:15, was capable of that type of a time. Just fell a little bit short of that, but he is an ultimate competitor, and he is just a complete steeplechase athlete. While we have those kind of top 3 identified as well. Looking at Hakeem Abduzouhir from Eastern Kentucky. Of course, Eastern Kentucky had last year's champion, Ahmed Jaziri, and EKU has had an NCAA steeple finalist 9 of the last 10 years.
All right, the less than 6 laps going. Let's go over to the men's triple jump, which is just a moments ago. Be your world champion later in the summer in Budapest. Stay tuned for that. As we get back to the steeplechase, they're coming up on 5 laps remaining in this race.
And Minnesota's Matthew Wilkinson has jumped up to the lead. Last year he had a top 8 finish in the NCAA steeplechase final. He is coming off a phenomenal Big Ten championship in which he didn't just win the steeplechase, he also won the 5,000 meters. And head coach Matt Bingle said that was great preparation for what was going to be called upon of him at the NCAA championships, when he had back-to-back days at the Big Tens of doing the steeple and the 5K, and then having to do both steeples here at NCAAs. But look how relaxed and controlled Duncan Hamilton looks to this point in the race. And just behind him over his shoulder, you can see Ed Trippus in the purple of Washington. Just saw what his teammates did in the 1500. Trippus previously competed at Princeton, now with Washington as a graduate transfer. An Olympian for Australia just a few years ago, Ed Trippus.
So it is Wilkinson followed by Hamilton, and then Hakeem Abduzouhir of Eastern Kentucky. Still reasonably close together is the field, starting to string out ever so slightly, but we see a lot of athletes out in lane 2 on the outside of lane 1, because as you come up to those barriers and water jump, you've got to have a place to put your feet. You've got to have a place to clear those barriers. And now a big move by Hamilton into the lead with 4 laps remaining.
You know, Larry, I've always wondered, what are ideal conditions for running the steeplechase? Because you can see these guys, the sweat dripping off their bodies. It's about 91 degrees down there. Are there ideals?
It's grueling no matter what. I would say maybe about 60s, mid-60s might be what you would consider ideal, but I don't think anything really makes it any easier when you're talking about it. And Robert, in preparation for the conditions that they would experience in Austin, a lot of teams spent time in the sauna after their workouts, half hour, hour at a time. One of the things that University of Washington did, in particular Ed Trippus, he bundled himself up into a sauna suit and would run workouts in one of these sauna suits. It almost kind of resembles a hazmat suit, if you can kind of picture people running their track workouts in that fashion. But head coach Andy Powell said they immediately felt the benefit when they got here to Austin of doing that within their training. And Ed Trippus looking incredibly strong right now as he is among the top 4.
Well, the pace has definitely picked up. They were on 8:50 pace, which is a walk in the park for several of these guys who have been sub 8:20. Coming around now with 3 laps remaining, you can see that the pack has been strung out into single file. Happy to let Duncan Hamilton do the work at this point.
And as we were talking about the conditions too, the plan and the strategy for Montana State and the 3 steeplers who they brought here to Austin, they got here on Monday to get acclimated to the conditions and really has benefited Duncan Hamilton, as you see him right there. Also, Hakeem Abdul-Zuhair of EKU is running incredibly well. I talked earlier this week to head coach Corey Erdman, and he just had such a testament of the work ethic, how hard Abdul-Zuhair has worked to get to the U.S. and achieve the success that he has so far. Abdul-Zuhair is from Morocco and is a junior now for the Colonels.
By the way, at the Paris Diamond League meet today, the world record it was set in the men's steeplechase, along with 2 other world records, the women's 5,000 and the men's 2 mile. So 3 world records in one day. You have to go way back to find a day where that has happened.
And Kenneth Rooks is poised to make a big move and start to push those top 2. Earlier this season, broke BYU's 40-year-old school record that was held by 4-time Olympian Henry Marsh. Boast a phenomenal time from the Sound Running Invitational. Kenneth Rooks running 8:17.62, as we pointed out earlier, in his 3rd NCAA steeplechase final, 6th last season, and a big burst on the backstretch from Hamilton of Montana State, and Rooks covers the move. He's going to go with him.
As we often say, the athletes from BYU, NAU, Adams State, all those that live and train at altitude, they're down here in Austin. They're drowning in oxygen. So they're not going into oxygen debt nearly as early as a lot of these other athletes do. They go over the water jump together. Rook's really being aggressive on the shoulder of Hamilton, now into the lead with a little over a lap remaining.
He bolted right out of the water jump, and that goes right along with what the message was from BYU head coach Ed Eyestone. He said that he told Kenneth Rooks, mind the gap, stay focused on what is directly ahead of you.
There's the bell, and Rooks and Hamilton are in full flight. And a gap develops between Rooks and Hamilton, but there's still a long way to go. 67 last lap. Remember, this is an outside water jump, so that is moving this late in the race.
Here comes Duncan Hamilton. He is coming back on Kenneth Rooks.
This is going to come down to how they take the last water jump and the last barrier. Rooks looks back. That gap's starting to get larger. It looks like Hamilton may have shot his shot. Rooks really chopped hard, but Hamilton chopped harder.
Rooks bounded over the barrier, projected himself out to a huge lead in the closing 100 meters.
And the barriers are all gone for Kenneth Rooks. He is going to be the NCAA steeplechase champion. And remember, just a few laps ago, they were on 8:50 pace. He still manages to run 8:26. Duncan Hamilton will finish second. Abdul-Zuhair, I think, third. 64 seconds for the last 400. That is moving. Again, it's an outside water jump, so that is really cooking at the end of a steeplechase. Kenneth Rooks, the junior from Provo, who had run 8:17.62 this year, so he certainly had the chops. Last won it here 4 years ago.
Racing with incredible confidence all outdoor season long after going toe-to-toe with a field of Olympians. And he is just flexing that endurance on the final lap, pushing the pace and being rewarded with victory. Look at how he digs deep going over that last barrier.
Turned out being a 65-meter victory when they were pretty close on the backstretch. So an impressive run by the BYU junior. Trippus ended up 9th place. The last winner from BYU, 2009, a long time ago. There are the official results. It was Victor Kipiego of UTEP that finished in 3rd place.
Down here with Kenneth Rooks. Sorry about that. I was thinking, hey, should we talk about the 7:52 they ran in Paris today? Or should we talk about the 8:26 you put down here?
Well, I actually watched the end of that race. That's insane. 7:52. at 63 flat, like, that's insane.
All right, forget Paris. Let's talk about Austin, Texas, and when you decided that you needed to make your move in order to win this race.
Yeah, so the race plan going in, I felt like I would be favorable in a fast or a slow race. I just wanted to stick myself in the middle, close to the front, be patient, be ready when people started to push at a mile to a K, when the push happened today, so I was ready to respond. And then, with 600 to go, I got lots of speed, got the speed, so I'm just going for it at that point. But yeah, that was.
Well, you laid down the really fast time 3 weeks ago. Duncan came back and topped it. Today, though, you come through in the race that matters. Congratulations on being the NCAA champ.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Dwight, back upstairs. We're going to talk a little bit more about the 752.